I wake up every morning at 5 a.m. The air's still cool and heavy with that quiet promise of a new day. My name's Cole Mercer, and I'm 34 years old, a guy who's spent years perfecting the art of being invisible. I slip out of bed, careful not to wake Bianca, my wife, who's sprawled across the sheets like she owns the world, which, in a way, she does. Her family, the Sinclairs, are old money, Charleston royalty, and I'm the nobody they let into the castle. Downstairs, I pull on my jeans and a plain t-shirt, grab my keys, and head to my coffee shop, Bean and Ground. It's a small place, all exposed brick and warm lights, tucked on a corner of downtown where the tourists wander and the locals linger. People think it's my whole life, this little shop with its humming espresso machine and chalkboard specials. They see me behind the counter, apron tied around my waist, steaming milk or wiping down tables, and they figure that's all I am, a barista with a decent smile and a steady hand. Bianca's father, Gregory Sinclair, calls me the coffee boy when he's feeling generous, which isn't often. His voice is all gravel and judgment, like he's spitting out a bad taste every time he says my name. He's a real estate king, a man who builds towers and buys loyalty with a flick of his wrist, and to him, I'm just the guy his daughter dragged home one day, a stray she decided to keep. I don't mind it, not really. I've been playing this part for years now, quiet, simple, unassuming. It's easier that way. They don't ask questions, don't dig past the surface. Gregory's never wondered why I don't complain about the bills or how I keep the shop running without begging for his handouts. Bianca's never noticed the late-night calls I take in the office upstairs or the way I slip out 4 errands that stretch into hours. They see what they want, a guy who's good with his hands, who knows his place, who doesn't rock their perfect little boat. And I let them. I pour their lattes, nod at their small talk, and keep my mouth shut. It's not like I'm lying, not exactly. The shop's real enough. I love the smell of fresh grounds, the hiss of the steamer, the way people soften when they take that first sip. It's mine, a piece of me I built from scratch. But it's not the whole story. Not even close. See, I've got secrets they'd never guess. The shop's just a front, a cozy little mask I wear while the real me moves in the shadows. I own things, big things. Companies, properties, accounts they'd choke on if they knew. But I don't flaunt it. I drive a beat-up truck to work, park it out back where no one cares to look. The fancy cars, the ones registered under a holding company nobody's heard of, stay tucked away in a garage across town. My assistant, a sharp woman named Tara, handles the real business, meetings with bankers, investors, CEOs who don't know my face until I want them to. I've got a system, a rhythm, and it works because nobody suspects a thing. Why would they? I'm just Cole, the guy who married up, the one they pat on the head and forget about. Gregory's too busy counting his millions to notice the way I watch him, the way I listen when he brags about his latest deal. Bianca's too caught up in her charity luncheons and designer dresses to see the papers I sign when she's asleep. They think I'm small, and I let them. It's safer that way for now. This morning, the shop's quiet when I unlock the door. I flip on the lights, start the grinder, and let the routine take over. The first customer's an older guy, a regular who likes his coffee black and his newspapers crisp. He nods at me, mumbles something about the weather, and I nod back. It's simple, this life I show them. Comfortable. But as I wipe down the counter, I can't help thinking about last night. Another dinner at the Sinclair mansion, another round of Gregory's jabs. How's the coffee game, Cole? He'd asked, smirking over his whiskey. Keeping the lights on? The table laughed. Bianca squeezed my hand under the cloth, and I just smiled. They don't know I could buy that mansion twice over and still have cash to burn. They don't know I've been watching, waiting, letting them dig their own graves with every word. One day, they'll see. One day, I'll step out from behind this counter and show them who I really am. But not yet. For now, I pour another cup, listen to the hum of the morning, and keep my secrets close. The game's still mine to play. The air feels thick tonight, heavy with the scent of money and perfume as I step into the Sinclair Company Gala. It's their annual show-off, held at some 5-star resort just outside Charleston where the chandeliers drip crystals and the waiters glide around with trays of caviar like it's no big deal. I'm Cole Mercer, and I'm here because Bianca begged me to come. She's in her element, shimmering in a silver dress that hugs her like a second skin, her blonde hair swept up in a way that screams elegance. Me, I'm in a navy suit, tailored, sharp, something I designed myself through a quiet little fashion venture I've never told anyone about. It's not flashy, but it fits me like it was born on my shoulders. I walk beside her, my hand resting light on her back, and I can feel the eyes on us, or on her, Mostly. I'm just the shadow, the guy who doesn't quite belong. We step into the ballroom, and it's like walking into a painting. Everything's gold and glass, the orchestra humming in the corner, people laughing too loud because they've got nothing real to say. Bianca's already drifting, kissing cheeks and tossing hellos like confetti. I hang back, grab a drink from a passing tray, something clear and sharp, and let the room swirl around me. Gregory's here, of course, holding court near the center, his gray hair slicked back, his tuxedo screaming power. He spots me across the crowd, gives me that half nod he thinks passes for manners, and turns back to his buddies. I'm not worth more than that to him. Never have been. I sip my drink, the ice clinking against the crystal, and wonder how long I've got to stay before I can slip out for air. These nights always feel like a performance, and I'm the understudy nobody bothered to rehearse. Then it happens, the toast. Gregory climbs up to the little stage, taps his glass with a spoon, and the room hushes like he's some kind of king. He's all smiles, that smug grin that says he owns every soul here. Some of us, he starts, his voice booming, build empires from scratch. We carve our names into the world, brick by brick. He pauses, lets the applause ripple, then his eyes find me. Others, well, they serve cappuccinos. The laugh hits like a wave, rolling through the crowd, sharp and cruel. Bianca's cousins snicker behind their hands. Some guy in a bow tie claps like it's the funniest thing he's heard all year. My fingers tighten around my glass, the cold biting into my skin, but I don't flinch. I smile instead, small, easy, like it doesn't faze me. Let them laugh. Let them think I'm the punchline. They've been doing it for years, and I've learned to wear it like a second suit. I take a slow breath, feel the anger simmering low in my chest, but I don't let it show. They don't know a damn thing. They don't know that this suit I'm wearing came from a company I own, one that's got orders stacked up from New York to Miami. They don't know I've got a stake in half the buildings Gregory brags about, hidden under layers of paperwork and fake names. And they sure as hell don't know I own the bank that's keeping his whole operation afloat right now. Eastbridge Capital. It's mine, every dime of it, and Gregory's emergency loans are sitting on my desk, waiting for my pin. One signature, that's all it'd take to pull the plug. I could end him tonight if I wanted to, watch that smug face crumple when he realizes who's been holding the strings. But I don't. Not yet. I sip my drink again, let the burn slide down my throat, and keep my eyes on him. He's still grinning, soaking up the applause, oblivious to the fact he's roasting the guy who could bury him. Bianca floats back to me, her perfume soft and sweet, and slips her arm through mine. You okay? She whispers, her voice low enough that no one else hears. I nod, give her a quick smile. Fine, I say, and it's not a lie. I've been through worse than a room full of rich idiots laughing at me. She squeezes my arm, and for a second, I wonder if she knows, if she's ever suspected there's more to me than the coffee shop and the quiet nods. But then she's off again, pulled into a circle of women with diamond earrings and fake laughs, and I'm alone with my thoughts. The night drags on, all speeches and small talk, and I play my part, shake hands, make jokes, let them think I'm harmless. They don't see the way I catalog every word, every smirk. They don't know I'm counting the seconds until I can turn this game upside down. As the orchestra picks up again, I finish my drink and set the glass down hard. One day, they'll choke on that laughter. One day, they'll see who's really pouring the shots around here. But tonight, I just stand there, the invisible son-in-law, letting them have their fun. It's a quiet morning at Bean and Ground, the kind I live for. Soft sunlight spilling through the windows, the smell of fresh coffee beans grinding into something warm and alive. I'm Cole Mercer, and this place is my sanctuary, my little corner of the world where I can breathe. I'm behind the counter, apron on, steaming milk for a latte while a couple of regulars chat about the weather at a table by the door. They nod at me, I nod back, and it's easy, like it always is here. People think this is all I've got, this cozy shop with its wooden stools and handwritten menu. They see me wiping down the espresso machine, hear me call out orders, and figure I'm just a guy who lucked into marrying Bianca Sinclair. They're not wrong about the luck part. She's beautiful, sharp, the kind of woman who lights up a room, but they're dead wrong about the rest. This shop's not my whole story. It's barely a page. Years ago, I was a different man. I had a startup, nothing huge, just a tech idea I cooked up in a cramped apartment with too much coffee and not enough sleep. It was a platform for small businesses, something to help them track sales, manage inventory, keep the lights on. I poured everything into it, and when a bigger company came sniffing around, I sold it. 8 figures, modest by some standards, but enough to change my life. I didn't blow it on cars or a mansion. I'm not that guy. Instead, I reinvested, quietly, carefully. I built Eastbridge Capital, a holding company nobody's heard of because I made damn sure they wouldn't. It's got its fingers in banks, fintech startups, real estate deals stretching across 3 states. I own pieces of the world Gregory Sinclair thinks he rules, and he doesn't even know it. My name's nowhere near the letterhead, intentionally. I've got people like Tara, my assistant, running the show out front while I stay in the shadows. Freedom's what I wanted, not fame, and this setup gives me that. The coffee shop came later. I bought it on a whim after Bianca and I got married. A little place that was going under until I turned it around. It's not a front, not exactly. It's real, something I love. I like the rhythm of it, the way the grinder hums and the customers smile when I slide their drinks across the counter. It's my retreat, a place where I can step away from the suits and the boardrooms and just be Cole. But it's also my cover. Nobody looks twice at a guy pulling shots of espresso all day. They don't wonder where the money comes from, how I afford the house Bianca and I live in, or why I don't flinch when Gregory tosses his insults my way. They see the apron and stop asking questions. It's perfect, really. Lets me move through their world without them ever suspecting I'm playing a bigger game. This morning, as I hand a black coffee to a guy in a faded jacket, I think about how it all started. Back when I sold that startup, I could have gone loud, bought a yacht, flashed the cash, made sure everyone knew my name. But that's not me. I grew up with nothing, just a single mom who worked doubles to keep us fed. I learned early that loud gets you noticed, but quiet gets you power. So I built my empire brick by brick, silent as a whisper, and watched it grow. Eastbridge isn't just some side gig. It's a machine. Mid-sized banks answer to me. Fintech apps I funded top the charts, and real estate portfolios fatten my accounts while I'm here steaming oat milk. I've got 3 hedge fund managers on my payroll, guys who'd laugh if they saw me in this apron. Sometimes I laugh too, thinking about it. Like when Bianca's cousin smirked at me last week and said, "He makes great lattes." I just grinned and said, "Yeah, I also signed the payroll for 3 hedge fund managers." He thought I was joking. They all do. I finish the latte, slide it to a woman with a laptop and a tired smile, and wipe my hands on a towel. The shop's humming now, a steady flow of people coming in for their morning fix. I move through it like I always do, calm, steady, letting them see the version of me they're comfortable with. But in my head, I'm somewhere else. I'm thinking about the calls I'll take later, the deals Tara's lining up, the numbers I'll crunch when the shop closes. This life I've built, it's a balancing act, 1 foot in their world, 1 foot in mine. Gregory thinks he's the king. Bianca thinks I'm her sweet, simple husband, and I let them. It's safer that way. Keeps the pieces in place until I'm ready to move them. As I pour another shot of espresso, the steam rising in soft curls, I feel that familiar itch, the one that says this mask won't fit forever. One day, I'll take it off. One day, they'll see. But for now, I'm just the guy with the coffee, and that's enough. The night air hits me like a slap when I step out onto the terrace, the gala's noise fading into a dull hum behind me. I'm Cole Mercer, and I've had enough of the chandeliers and fake smiles for one evening. My navy suit feels tight, not because it doesn't fit, it's perfect, but because I'm carrying more than anyone in that room knows. I lean against the railing, the ocean breeze tugging at my hair, and take a deep breath. The crystal glass in my hand's empty now, just ice rattling around, and I'm thinking about heading back to the truck when I hear heels clicking on the stone behind me. I turn, and there's Layla Cross, Gregory's assistant, her dark hair pulled tight and her eyes darting like she's scared someone's watching. She's young, maybe 28, sharp as a tack, and the only one in the Sinclair orbit who's ever looked at me like I might be more than a coffee pourer. "Sir," she says, her voice low, almost a whisper, "we need your bank's approval." The loan paperwork was flagged for emergency review. I raise an eyebrow, keeping my face steady even as my pulse kicks up a notch. "Emergency?" I ask, casual, like I'm just making conversation. She nods, her hands twisting together. "Yes, Mr. Sinclair's Midtown project is collapsing. Without that loan, everything folds." Her words hang there, heavy, and I let them settle. The Midtown project, Gregory's big gamble, a shiny tower he's been bragging about for months. I've seen the numbers, the ones he doesn't show the public, because my bank's the one holding his leash. Eastbridge Capital's got the files, and I've got the pen. I nod slowly, letting a flicker of something, maybe amusement, dance in my eyes. Tell Mr. Sinclair I'll review it in the morning. I say, calm as if I'm talking about the weather. Layla freezes, her mouth parting just a little, and I see it click. Her eyes widen, searching my face like she's seeing me for the first time. Not Cole the coffee guy. Cole, the CEO of Eastbridge Capital. The guy who could snap his fingers and sink her boss. She doesn't say anything for a second, just stands there, and I can almost hear the gears turning in her head. You're... She starts, then stops, like she's afraid to finish. I don't help her out, just tilt my head and wait. Okay, she finally says, backing up a step. I'll tell him. She turns and hurries off, her heels clicking faster now, and I'm alone again with the night. I set the glass on the railing, the ice glinting under the terrace lights, and let out a slow breath. This is it, the first crack in the mask I've worn for years. Layla's smart. She'll figure it out, maybe even whisper it to someone else. But I'm not worried. I've been waiting for a moment like this, a chance to let the truth peek out without me having to shout it. Gregory's in trouble, and he doesn't even know it's me holding the lifeline. That toast he gave earlier, the one where he roasted me in front of his fancy friends, echoes in my head. Others serve cappuccinos, he'd said, and they'd laughed. Now he's the one begging, and I'm the one deciding. I shove my hands in my pockets and stare out at the water, the waves rolling in soft and steady. I could sign off on that loan tonight. Keep his project afloat. Let him keep strutting around like the king he thinks he is. Or I could let it sit, let him sweat, let him figure out how deep he's dug himself. Eastbridge has the power here, and I've got Eastbridge. It's a strange feeling, standing out here with the wind in my face, knowing I've got a man like Gregory Sinclair by the throat, and he doesn't even see it yet. I think about the shop, the quiet mornings, the way I built this whole other life while they all looked the other way. The coffee's real. I love it, always will, but it's the smallest piece of me. Out here, under the stars, I feel the weight of everything else. The banks, the deals, the millions I've stacked up while they laughed. Layla's reaction sticks with me, though. That look in her eyes, shock, maybe respect, tells me the game's shifting. She's the first one to see past the apron, and it's a rush, like stepping out of a shadow I've been hiding in too long. I don't know what she'll do with it. Run to Gregory, keep it quiet, maybe just watch and wait. Doesn't matter. The seed's planted now, and I'm ready for whatever grows. I pick up the glass again, roll it between my fingers, and think about tomorrow. I'll go into the office, not the shop, the real office, and pull those loan papers. I'll sit at my desk, the one with my name in brass, and decide what happens next. Gregory's fate's in my hands, and for once, I'm not invisible. The gala's still buzzing behind me, but out here, it's just me and the truth. I smile to myself, small and sharp, and head back inside. One way or another, morning's gonna be interesting. The sun's barely up when I pull into the parking lot of Eastbridge Capital's downtown office, the truck's engine rumbling low as I kill it. I'm Cole Mercer, and today's the day I stop playing small. I step out, my boots hitting the pavement, and tug my jacket straight. Nothing fancy, just a gray blazer over a white shirt. But it's enough. The building's sleek, all glass and steel, the kind of place Gregory Sinclair would strut into without a second thought. Except today, he's coming to me, and he's got no idea what's waiting. I push through the front doors, the air cool and crisp inside, and the receptionist, Emma, a no-nonsense woman with a tight bun, looks up from her desk. "Morning, Mr. Mercer," she says, her voice smooth, professional. I nod back, "Morning," and keep walking. My name's etched in brass behind her, Cole Mercer, CEO, but most folks who come through here don't connect it to the guy in the coffee shop apron. That's how I've kept it until now. I'm barely settled in my office, big windows, dark wood desk, a view of Charleston waking up, when Emma buzzes me. "Mr. Sinclair's here," she says through the intercom. "Send him in," I reply, leaning back in my chair. The door swings open a minute later, and there he is. Gregory Sinclair, storming in like he owns the place, his face red, his tie a little crooked. He's got that look, anger mixed with panic, and it's almost funny how fast the king's crown's slipping. "I need to speak to your director," he growls, not even glancing at me yet, his eyes darting around like he's expecting someone else. Emma's voice cuts in from behind him, calm as ever. "You have an appointment with Mr. Mercer." Gregory freezes, his head snapping toward her. "Mercer," he says, like the name's a bad taste. "Yes," she replies, unfazed. Mr. Mercer, our CEO. She shuts the door as she leaves, and the silence lands hard. He turns to me then, slow, like he's moving through mud, and I see it, the moment his world tilts. His face goes pale, sour milk white, and his mouth opens but nothing comes out. I stand up, casual, and walk around the desk, the loan papers in my hand. Coffee guy, he whispers, his voice cracking like thin ice. I stop, meet his eyes, and set the papers down on the glass table between us. Owner, I say, my voice steady, calm. And this coffee guy just denied your emergency loan. I tap the stack, the red denied stamp glaring up at him, and watch his jaw tighten. He doesn't move, doesn't speak, just stares at me like I'm a ghost who stepped out of the walls. I've waited years for this, years of his jabs, his smirks, his cappuccino cracks, and now here we are, the barista and the tycoon, and I'm the one holding the keys. Cole, he finally says, his tone shifting, softer now, like he's testing the water. You don't understand what this means. I tilt my head, lean against the desk, and cross my arms. I understand plenty, I tell him. I understand your Midtown project's a house of cards. I understand you've been scrambling for cash because your investors are pulling out. And I understand my bank's the only thing standing between you and a very public fall. His eyes narrow, but there's fear there, flickering behind the bluster. You can't do this, he says, stepping closer. Your family. I laugh quiet, sharp, and it stops him cold. Family. I echo. Family doesn't roast me in front of a room full of strangers. Family doesn't treat me like a stray dog Bianca dragged in. You've never seen me, Gregory. Not once. And now you're paying for it. He blinks, and I see the shift. He's not used to being on this side of the table. What do you want? He asks, his voice low, desperate. An apology? Money? Name it. I shake my head, slow, deliberate. I don't want anything from you, I say. I've got everything I need right here. I gesture at the office, the papers, the life I built while he was busy laughing. This isn't about revenge. It's about respect. And you've got none to give. He stares at the denied loan docs, his hands flexing like he wants to grab them, tear them up, make it all go away. But he can't. You're ruining me, he says, almost a whisper. No, I correct him. You did that yourself. I just stopped bailing you out. I walk back to my chair, sit down, and let the silence stretch. He's still standing there, a man who spent his life towering over everyone, and now he's shrinking before my eyes. You've got 24 hours to figure out another lifeline, I tell him, picking up a pen like it's just another day. Eastbridge is done with you. He doesn't move at first, just stares, then turns and walks out, his steps heavy, defeated. The door clicks shut, and I lean back, the weight of it all settling in. I'm not invisible anymore, not to him, not to anyone who's paying attention. The mask's off, and it feels good, like a breath I've been holding too long. I glance at the papers, the red stamp glowing, and think about the gala, the toast, the laughter. They won't laugh now. Not when they see who's really running the show. I'm sitting in my office at Eastbridge Capital, the afternoon sun cutting sharp lines across the desk, when Gregory comes back. I'm Cole Mercer, and yesterday I flipped his world upside down, denied his emergency loan, watched him stumble out of here like a man who'd lost his shadow. Now he's back, standing in my doorway, and he's not the same guy who stormed him before. His tie's still crooked, his hair's a little wild, and there's a desperation in his eyes I've never seen. He doesn't wait for an invite, just steps in, shuts the door, and starts talking. Cole, he says, his voice rough, like he hasn't slept. You don't know what you're doing. This will destroy my company. I lean back in my chair, fingers steepled, and let him go. He's pacing now, hands waving, throwing out numbers, projected profits, investor names, timelines, like they'll change my mind. I don't flinch, don't interrupt, just watch him unravel. He stops, plants his hands on the table, and looks at me, really looks at me, for maybe the first time since I married Bianca. I've built this from nothing, he says, his voice cracking. 40 years, Cole? 40 years of sweat and deals and sleepless nights. You can't just pull the rug out like this. I nod, slow, like I'm thinking it over, but I've already seen the files. Eastbridge's analyst tore through his books last night. Every transaction, every loan, every shady move he's made to keep his empire afloat. Maybe you should have been more careful, I say, my tone even, calm. More careful with your public insults. And your books. I slide a folder across the table, red flags marked in bright ink, phantom assets, debt shuffled around like a shell game. That's not oversight, Gregory. That's fraud. His face goes slack. like I've punched the air out of him. He grabs the folder, flips it open, and scans the pages he knows are true because he cooked them himself. "Where'd you get this?" he mutters, but it's not a real question. He knows. "My people are good at their jobs," I tell him. "Better than yours, apparently." He drops the folder, sinks into the chair across from me, and runs a hand over his face. "You've got no idea what this'll do," he says, quieter now, almost pleading. "The jobs, the families, hundreds of people depend on me." I lean forward, elbows on the desk, and meet his gaze. "Then you should have thought about them before you started laundering debt," I say. "Before you stood up at that gala and made me the joke of the night." He flinches, and I see it, the memory of that toast hitting him like a brick. "Some of us build empires," he'd said, smirking while they laughed. Now he's not laughing. "Cole," he tries again, softer. "I didn't mean it like that. It was just talk. I cut him off. "It was you," I say, sharp. "That's who you are. You've spent years treating me like dirt, and I let you. I stood there, smiled, poured your damn coffee, and you never once wondered who I was. Well, now you know." He stares at me, his mouth working like he's got something else to say, but nothing comes. "If I go down," he starts, then trails off. I finish it for him. "You already did. The moment you opened your mouth last night." I push back from the desk, stand up, and walk to the window. The city's buzzing below, cars, people, life moving on, and I feel the shift inside me. This isn't just about the loan anymore. It's about all of it. The years I've swallowed his crap, the way he's looked through me like I'm nothing. I turn back, and he's still sitting there, deflated, a king without a throne. "You've got options," I say, though I know he doesn't, not really. "Sell what you can, call in favors, find another bank dumb enough to touch you." "But Eastbridge?" "We're out." He doesn't move, just stares at the floor, and I wonder if he's finally seeing it, the hole he's dug, the one I'm not climbing in to pull him out of. I could have signed that loan. Could have kept his tower standing, let him keep his crown. But why? So he could roast me again next year? So he could keep pretending I'm less than him? No. I've got my own empire, built quiet and strong, and I don't need his approval to sleep at night. "You've got till the end of the week," I tell him, walking back to my chair. "After that, the creditors will come knocking. Good luck." He looks up at me then, and there's something raw in his eyes, fear, maybe regret, but it's too late for that. He stands, slow, like his bones ache, and heads for the door. "This isn't over," he mutters, "but it's weak, a last gasp." "Yeah, it is," I say, and he's gone. I sit back down, the folder still open on the table, and let out a long breath. The empire's cracking, his, not mine, and I'm the one who swung the hammer. It feels heavy, but right. I've been invisible too long, and now the pieces are falling where they belong. Gregory's not the only one who'll feel this. Bianca's next, and the family, and the world outside these walls. But for now, it's just me and the quiet, and I'm okay with that. I'm home when it all comes crashing down, sitting in the kitchen with a beer I haven't touched, the bottle sweating on the counter. I'm Cole Mercer, and today's been a hell of a ride. Denying Gregory's loan, watching his empire teeter, feeling the weight of my own power settle in. The house is quiet, too quiet, until the front door slams open and Bianca storms in. She's a whirlwind, hair loose, eyes wild, her heels clicking sharp against the hardwood. She knows. I can tell before she even opens her mouth. She drops her bag on the floor, stares at me like I'm a stranger, and says, "You did this." Her voice is tight, shaking, and I don't play dumb. "Yeah," I say, calm, meeting her gaze. "I did." She paces, hands flying to her hips, then her hair, then back again. "My father called me," she says, her words spilling fast. "He's a mess, Cole. A mess. He said you own some bank, that you killed his loan, that you're tearing everything apart. Is that true?" I nod, slow, and take a sip of the beer just to steady myself. "It's true," I tell her. "Eastbridge Capital's mine. Has been for years. I denied his loan because he's been cooking his books, Bianca. Fraud. The kind that doesn't just hurt him. It hurts everyone tied to him." She stops pacing, stares at me, and her mouth drops open. "Years?" she whispers. "You've had this whole thing, and you never told me?" Her voice cracks, and I see the hurt there, sharp and real. I stand up, move around the counter, but keep my distance. "I built it," I say, keeping it simple. "Started with a startup I sold, turned it into something bigger, banks, real estate, investments. I kept it quiet because I didn't need the noise. Didn't need your dad, or anyone else telling me who I should be. She shakes her head, fast, like she's trying to shake my words out. You lied to me, she says louder now. All this time, I thought you were just the coffee shop guy. My husband, the sweet, simple guy who married me. And you're what, a billionaire? Some secret king. I wince at that, but don't back down. I didn't lie, I say. I just didn't tell you everything. You never asked, Bianca. None of you did. You all saw what you wanted. Me in an apron, pouring drinks, staying small so you could feel big. Her eyes flash, and she steps closer, jabbing a finger at me. Don't you dare put this on me, she snaps. You hid this. You let me think. God. Cole, you let my father treat you like trash, and you just smiled. Why? Why didn't you say something? I take a breath, feel the old anger stir, and let it out slow. Because I didn't need his respect, I tell her. Or yours, back then. I built what I built for me, not to prove anything to him. But yeah, I let him talk. I let him laugh. And you know what? I'm done with that now. Done being the stray dog your family kicks around. She freezes, her hand dropping, and I see the tears welling up. You think that's what I saw you as? She asks, her voice softer, breaking. A stray. I shrug, not harsh, just honest. That's how it felt, I say. Every dinner, every party, every time he called me coffee boy, and you didn't say a word. I was invisible, Bianca. To all of you. She wipes her eyes, quick, like she's mad at herself for crying. I didn't know, she says. I didn't know you were this. She gestures at nothing, everything, the life I've kept under wraps. How could I? You never let me in. I step closer now, close enough to see the way her shoulders shake. I didn't let anyone in, I admit. Not because I didn't trust you. Because I liked the quiet. Liked being the guy nobody expected anything from. But that's over. Your dad's crashing, and I'm the one who pushed him. That's who I am now, whether you like it or not. She looks at me, long and hard, and I can see her torn loyalty to her father, the man who raised her, warring with the reality of me, the husband she thought she knew. What am I supposed to do with this? She asks, almost to herself. He's my family, Cole. And you're breaking him. I don't make her choose, not yet. I'm not asking you to pick sides, I say, my voice steady. But I'm not invisible anymore, Bianca. I've got power, I've got a name, and I'm not hiding it to keep him comfortable. If that's too much for you, if you can't handle me being more than the coffee guy, you're free to walk. Her breath catches, and she stares at me like I've slapped her. Walk, she echoes. You'd let me go, just like that? I nod slow. If that's what you need, I say. But if you stay, it's with the real me. No more pretending. She doesn't answer, just turns and grabs her bag, her heels clicking as she heads for the stairs. I don't stop her, don't call out. The door upstairs shuts, and I'm alone again, the beer still cold in my hand. I sit back down, take a long drink, and feel the quiet settle. She's shaken, I get that. Her whole world's tilting, and I'm the one who rocked it. But I meant what I said. No more masks, no more swallowing their crap. If she can't handle it, that's her call. For now, I've got my own mess to sort, Gregory's fallout, the business, the life I've been building. The family's cracking, and I'm at the center of it. But I'm not backing down. Not anymore. I'm standing in my office at Eastbridge Capital, staring out the window as the city hums below when the news breaks. I'm Cole Mercer, and the past few days have been a storm, denying Gregory's loan, facing Bianca's anger, watching the cracks spread through the Sinclair family. Now it's gone public, and there's no hiding anymore. My phone buzzes on the desk, a dozen notifications piling up, but I don't need to check them to know what's happening. I turn on the TV mounted in the corner, and there it is, splashed across the financial news. Sinclair empire implodes after secret bank CEO shuts off lifeline. The anchor's voice is crisp, excited, like she's reading a thriller. Sources confirm Cole Mercer, CEO of Eastbridge Capital. And, yes, the unassuming coffee shop owner married to Bianca Sinclair Mercer, denied an emergency loan critical to Gregory Sinclair's Midtown project. The fallout? A domino effect threatening to topple one of Charleston's oldest real estate dynasties. I mute it, let the images roll, stock footage of Gregory's buildings, a shot of me pouring coffee at Bean and Ground, pulled from some old local feature. It's surreal, seeing my two worlds smashed together like this. The phone buzzes again, and this time I pick it up. It's Tara, my assistant, her voice steady but quick. It's everywhere, Cole, she says. CNN, Bloomberg, even the local stations. Gregory's spinning it. gave a statement calling you ungrateful, says he gave you a chance by letting you into the family. I laugh, short and dry. A chance, I say. He gave me nothing but a target on my back. Tara's quiet for a second, then Layla Cross just posted online too. Resigned publicly. She's backing you up, says Gregory's arrogance did him in. I nod, even though she can't see me. Good, I say. Let it burn. I hang up and pull up Layla's post on my laptop. It's short, sharp, and brutal. I worked for Gregory Sinclair for 5 years. I watched him laugh at a man who held his survival in one signature, Cole Mercer. That gala toast was his last mistake. I'm out. The comments are exploding, some calling her a traitor, others cheering her on, most just stunned. I lean back in my chair, the weight of it sinking in. This isn't just about me and Gregory anymore. It's a reckoning, loud and public, and I'm the guy who lit the match. Gregory's out there, flailing, trying to paint me as the bad guy, but it's not sticking. Not with Layla's words out there, not with the truth seeping through the cracks he can't pluck. I head downstairs, needing air, and step into the lobby just as a reporter spots me through the glass doors. She's young, eager, shoving a mic my way the second I'm outside. Mr. Mercer, she calls. Any comment on the Sinclair collapse? On your role in it. I stop, look at her, and keep it simple. Gregory made his choices, I say. I made mine. That's all. I push past before she can follow up, heading for my truck. The streets buzzing, people glancing my way, whispering, phones out like I'm some kind of celebrity. I've spent years blending in, and now I'm the guy they can't stop staring at. It's strange, but I don't hate it, not yet. Back at home, the TV's still on when I walk in, Bianca nowhere in sight. She's been distant since our fight, sleeping in the guest room, avoiding me like I'm a bomb she doesn't know how to defuse. I don't blame her. This is a lot, and she's caught in the middle. The news cycles Gregory's statement again, his voice clipped and bitter. I welcomed Cole into my family, gave him a chance, and this is how he repays me. I turn it off, sick of his lies. He didn't give me anything. I took it, built it, earned it while he was busy laughing. The phone rings. Local number, probably another reporter, and I let it go to voicemail. I'm done talking for now. The world's got enough to chew on. Later, I drive to the coffee shop, needing something normal. The regulars are there, sipping their drinks, but they're looking at me different, curious, maybe impressed. Old man Joe, who's been coming in forever, sets his paper down and grins. Heard you're a big shot now, Cole, he says. I shrug, pour him a refill. Just a guy with a coffee pot, I say, and he chuckles. But it's not the same, and I know it. The mask's off, and the reckoning's here. Gregory's empire's crumbling, creditors circling, projects stalling, and I'm the name on everyone's lips. I could have stayed quiet, kept the loan flowing, let him keep his throne. But I didn't. I stepped up, and now the world knows who I am. I lock up late, the shop dark and still, and sit at the counter with a cold cup I don't drink. Layla's post keeps running through my head. He laughed at a man who held his survival in one signature. That's it, right there. Gregory thought he was untouchable, thought I was nothing. Now he's scrambling, and I'm standing tall. The public's watching, judging, picking sides, but I don't care what they think. This was never about them. It was about me, about respect, about taking back what I let him steal every time he opened his mouth. I head home, the city lights blurring past, and feel the shift. The barista's gone. The king's here. And I'm not stepping back into the shadows. I'm sitting at my desk at Eastbridge Capital, the morning light slanting through the windows, when Tara walks in with a stack of papers and a grin. I'm Cole Mercer, and the past week's been a whirlwind, Gregory's empire crashing, the news blowing up, my name everywhere. Now it's time to move forward. Auction results, Tara says, dropping the stack in front of me. Sinclair's properties, Midtown, the waterfront lots, a couple downtown buildings, all ours. Dirt cheap, too. I lean back, take the top sheet, and scan the numbers. He's right, they're steals, picked up from the wreckage of Gregory's collapse. Creditors swooped in fast, and Eastbridge was ready. Good. Let's get moving on the rebrand. She nods, already on it, and I feel the shift. This isn't just cleanup, it's creation. I've been planning this for a while, something new, something mine. Cole Groundworks, a passion project I've kept in my head until now. The idea is simple. Take those properties and turn them into something real. Affordable housing, community spaces, places people can live and breathe, not just towers for rich folks to gawk at. Gregory built for ego. I'm building for life. I spend the morning sketching it out: low-rise apartments with green roofs, a community center with a daycare, maybe a park where kids can run. Tara's on the phone with architects, developers, people who get it. By noon, we've got a plan rolling, and it feels good, better than watching Gregory fall, better than proving a point. This is what I've wanted: power that does something, not just takes. I don't hide anymore. The coffee shop's still mine. I'm there the next day, pouring espresso, wiping counters, but it's different now. People know who I am. Regulars like Joe grin wider, strangers linger, asking questions. Heard you're some kind of tycoon, a guy in a ball cap says, sipping his black coffee. I shrug, smile. Just a guy who got lucky, I tell him, but they don't buy it. The apron's still on, but the mask's off, and I'm okay with that. Then the call comes: Forbes Local Legends, a magazine I've flipped through at the shop. We want your story, the editor says, her voice bright. From barista to billionaire, people are eating it up. I hesitate, then say yes. Why not? I've spent years in the shadows. Might as well step into the light. The interview's quick, over the phone, and I keep it honest. I tell her about the startup I sold, the quiet years building Eastbridge, the coffee shop as my cover. Why do you stay quiet so long? She asks. I pause, think about Gregory's smirks, the gala toast, the way they all saw me. I didn't need them to know, I say. Not until it mattered. She digs into the Sinclair fallout, how I denied the loan, how it sparked the collapse. Some call it revenge, she says. Was it? I shake my head, even though she can't see. Not revenge, I tell her. Respect. They didn't give it, so I took it. The piece drops a few days later, and there I am on the cover, from barista to billionaire. The man who taught respect the hard way. It's me at the shop, apron on, smiling soft, with a skyline behind me. Bianca leaves a copy on the counter at home. No note, just there. She's still distant, moving through the house like a ghost since our fight. I don't push, let her figure it out. The world's loud now, but I'm settling into quiet again, a different kind. I drive to one of the auction sites that afternoon, a rundown lot Gregory once bragged about. It's empty, weeds poking through cracked concrete, but I see it. Apartments, families, life. I walk the perimeter, boots crunching, and feel the weight lift. This is mine, not his. I'm not the coffee guy anymore, not the invisible son-in-law. I'm the one building something new, and they can't laugh that away. The shop's busy later, a line out the door, and I'm in the thick of it, steaming milk, pulling shots, joking with customers. A kid asks for my autograph, holding up the Forbes cover, and I laugh, sign it with a marker from the drawer. You're famous, he says, grinning. Maybe, I tell him, sliding his hot chocolate across. We're just lucky. But it's more than luck. It's years of work, of watching, of waiting for the right moment. Gregory's gone quiet. Creditors took what was left. His name's mud. But I don't gloat. I don't need to. The reckoning's done, and I'm still standing. Night falls, and I lock up, the shop dark and still. I sit at the counter, the magazine open in front of me, and read the headline again. Billionaire. It's real now, not just numbers in an account. I've got power, a voice, a chance to do something good. Cold Groundworks is just the start. More projects, more change. I'm not loud about it. Don't need to be. The world's watching, but I'm still me, quiet, steady, the guy who knows how to wait. I flip off the lights, head home, and feel the calm settle. They laughed once. Now they see. And I'm just getting started. It's a cool evening when I'm at Bean and Ground, the shop winding down after a busy day. I'm Cole Mercer, and the last few months have been a ride: Gregory's collapse, the public fallout, building Cold Groundworks from the ashes. Now I'm here, behind the counter, pouring a cappuccino for an old man who's got his nose in a book. The foam swirls just right, and I slide it across with a nod. He mumbles a thanks, doesn't look up, and I smile to myself. This place still feels like home, even with everything else spinning around me. The door chimes, and I glance up. Bianca's standing there. No entourage, no flash, just her in a simple coat and jeans. Her eyes are soft, a little red, and she's holding herself like she's not sure she's welcome. I wipe my hands on a towel, keep my face steady, and wait. She steps closer, stops at the counter, and looks at me, really looks, like she's seeing me for the first time in weeks. You were never small, she says, her voice low, almost breaking. They just needed me to be, I reply, keeping it simple, honest. She nods, slow, and I see the tears glisten, but she blinks them back. I'm sorry, she says, and it's real sincere, not forced. For not seeing you. For letting them. For everything. I don't say anything right away, just lean against the counter and let her words hang there. It's been tense since our fight, her pulling away, me giving her space. But this feels different, like she's finally catching up to who I am. I grab a mug, start pouring her a coffee, her usual, black with a hint of cinnamon, and slide it over. No bitterness left, I say, tapping the rim. Just a full-bodied finish. She laughs, soft, and it's the first time I've heard that sound in too long. She takes the mug, wraps her hands around it, and sits on a stool. I read the Forbes piece, she says, sipping slow. It's good. True. I nod, grab a rag, and start wiping down the espresso machine, just to keep my hands busy. It's me, I tell her. All of it. She sets the mug down, looks at me again. I didn't know what to do, Cole. With Dad falling apart, with you being this. I was mad, scared. But I get it now. You didn't owe us anything. I stop wiping, lean on the counter across from her. I didn't do it to hurt you, I say. Or him, even. It was about me, about not being the guy they walked over anymore. She nods, her fingers tracing the mug's edge. He's gone quiet, she says. Sold the house, moved somewhere smaller. He's not fighting anymore. I don't say anything to that, just let it sit. Gregory's done, and I don't need to kick him while he's down. And us? I ask, keeping my voice even. She looks up, holds my gaze. I don't want to walk, she says. I want to try. With you, all of you, not just the coffee guy. It's not a promise, not a fix, but it's something. I nod, slow, and pour myself a coffee too. We sit there, the shop empty now except for the old man in the corner, and it's quiet, comfortable, like it used to be before everything blew up. I'm still me, I tell her. The shop, the coffee, it's not a lie. Just not the whole story. She smiles, faint but real. I like that story, she says. And the rest of it too. I don't push for more, don't need to. She's here, and that's enough for now. I finish my coffee, glance out the window at the city moving slow beyond the glass. It's strange how it all turned out. I spent years invisible, letting them laugh, building something they couldn't see. Now the world knows, Gregory's down, I'm up, and the pieces have settled. I think about the gala, that toast, the way they roared while I stood there with a smile. They don't laugh now. They can't. I've got Eastbridge, Coal Groundworks, a name that means something. But this shop, this little corner, it's still where I feel right. I lock up after Bianca leaves, promising to talk more at home, and stand outside, the night air cool on my face. I think about justice, how it brews quiet, slow, until it's ready. Gregory thought he held the power, thought I was nothing. But I watched, waited, built my own. Now he's the one fading, and I'm the one standing. It's not loud, not flashy, I don't need it to be. The old man's gone, the shop's dark, and I head to the truck, the keys jangling in my hand. Bianca's waiting, the projects are rolling, and I've got no regrets. Sometimes the world's loudest people overlook the quietest power, I think, climbing in. That's where I won, where I'll keep winning. The engine starts, and I drive home, the city lights fading behind me, the final cup poured.